Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. I forgot what day of the week it was. I'm Sarah. I am going to be your live host this evening, and we're going to get started in 5 or so minutes. I just wanted to start the feed and make sure it was working, and we can just chit chat until then. Right now, seeing some people say where they're from in the comments. So if you want to drop where you're from, or I don't know what you're doing this weekend, even though the weekend's 4 days away, 3 days away. I don't know. Let's chit chat and then we will get started here in, like I said, 5 or so minutes. We will dive into the real important questions. Floyd Snobs, Indiana. Yeah, you guys have a really good dance and cheer team. Don't ask me why I know that. It's just one of those fun facts that we acquire. We got Portland, Oregon, Austin, Texas, Columbus, Ohio. My grandma lives there. New Orleans, Brentwood, Tennessee. I went on a trip, a recruiting trip to Brentwood and Franklin and Nashville, and loved it. Trying to convince my husband to move there. Not going so well. Where else? San Juan, Boston, go Red Sox. Somebody said their parents are IU dads. That's okay. Lots of California people. I hope that you're all safe and everything's okay with the wildfires, which are awful, awful, awful. We're thinking of you and hope that you're all safe and sound. Let's see, Atlanta, more Boston, New York City. So cool. Awesome. Well, we'll get started here in just a few. Excited. You guys are all here early. Well done. Or you got the time zone wrong, which is possible too, but you're early, which is great. Philly, McLean, Virginia, DC area. What's up? Cool. Well, we've got 3 or 4 more minutes, so we're going to give folks just a few. Chicago, yeah, my people. More DC people. You guys are great. Where am I from? So fun fact, I actually live in the suburbs of Chicago. I'm one of our regional recruiters. I'm from Indiana originally, which is my love and pride and joy is the state of Indiana. So I miss it dearly. Do I have any pets? Yes, she is currently outside because she would bark during this. New Jersey, Boston, Pacers aren't doing so well. So I don't follow the NBA. Don't tell anybody. I literally cannot tell you who is good in the NBA and who is bad in the NBA. So I hope the Pacers are going to do well, but I'm just not any other sport than the NBA. Crown Point. Cool. Well, I hope, before we get started, I hope that you've all watched the YouTube pre-video that we have for this. Every month before we do our YouTube lives, we do a video that has information that you need to know that you can refer back to. This one was about what happens once you click submit when you apply to Purdue. So your applications are done, they're finished, I hope, and you met the November 1st deadline, all is well. Now what is going on before January 15th rolls around when we start to release admissions decisions? So that's the point of today. We're going to talk you through kind of what that process looks like. I'm going to give you a really brief overview. And then if you have really specific questions, make sure that you watch that pre-video as well, because a lot of things that I might not touch on in like the initial chit chat that we're going to have, those might be discussed in the video, or of course you can drop them in our questions. So without further ado, we're a few minutes early, but we'll kick this show off. Again, my name is Sarah. I work in the Office of Admissions. I am happy to be here tonight to chat with you guys about all things application review and what that process looks like. I am joined by my trusty friends, Christine, Kathy, Joffrey, Caitlin. They are moderating the chat tonight. So thank them. Thank you from me. Thank them for me. Thanks to my team for moderating the chat. We could not do this without them. So make sure that if you have any questions, they might answer them, or I, of course, can answer them as well. Drop them in the chat if you have them. Real quick, I'm going to run through a very, very brief version of that video that I mentioned earlier. We'll talk quickly about the admissions process, what that review process looks like, and then we'll dive into our questions. We had quite a few of you send in survey questions, which was awesome. So we have some questions lined up already, and then, of course, we'll take them from the chat. So once you have submitted your application, you clicked submit, your letters of recommendation are in, you self-reported your test scores, you did all the things. You currently don't have anything on your to-do list, right? We mark your application complete and it enters initial review. So during that process, we're simply making sure that you meet our criteria for admission. 4 years of math and English, 3 years of science and social studies, 2 years of a foreign language. The end. We're making sure that every applicant to Purdue has that. My computer's chiming to tell me to start. We're making sure that everyone that applies to Purdue has those courses completed. Then if you self-reported your grades or self-reported your courses and some things look kind of weird, if you didn't put down any senior year courses, our team's going to reach out to you and say, hey, what the heck? Are you taking classes your senior year? Yes. What are they? So if we have any questions or find any incomplete information, we'll reach out to you for that information. Pro tip, your Purdue application portal is where those questions will live. So make sure that you're checking that portal. You don't need to do it every day. You probably only need to do it a few times between now and January 15th. But if we have any questions or if we need additional information from you, we will let you know by entering that information in your application portal. So make sure that you are checking that, not super regularly, but enough in case anything pops up that we need to get to you. You can find it there. So once we make sure that you have all of the required courses, your application moves into committee review. So we have a large number of staff who review every single application that walks through the applications don't walk through the door, comes through the door. I'm sorry. But we look at every single application, and I think that that's really important to stress. Last year, we got about 50,000 applications, and every single application got seen by at least a couple sets of eyes in our office. So it's a very personal process, and I'm really proud of the way that we review those applications because we know that you're real people, and we want to review every application and treat you like you're a real person. So in that committee review process, that's really where we dive deeply into the things that we look for. I spoke about that last month on our live, and there's a pre-video regarding the things that we're looking at in an application. So if you have really specific questions about that, go ahead and watch both of those videos or send us an email, chat us, whatever. But those are the things that get reviewed during that committee review process. Your academic credentials. We read your essay. We look at your Purdue-specific questions. We read your letters of recommendation. The whole package gets reviewed during that committee review process. And we'll talk a little bit about decision factors and things that can come of that committee review process in just a few minutes. Once we've made our initial decision, then your application gets moved into final review. And that's just a final check by our senior staffers to make sure that decisions line up, that things make sense. If there's an issue, they'll send an application back to the committee to look at again. That doesn't happen a whole lot, but every decision is signed off again by some more members of our team. So that's kind of what it looks like in a nutshell. Again, that video that we sent out to you goes into a lot more detail. So make sure that you check that out, but wanted to give you a pretty quick summary. Scholarship and honors college consideration look very similar to that process. We have university and college-wide committees who evaluate each application. Everything's done holistically, which means that we look at every single part of your application. So it's not just grades. It's not just test scores. It's, grades and test scores, but also extracurricular activities, letters of recommendation, your Purdue-specific essays, your grade trends, a million factors. Everything that we talked about last month are things that we look at and things that absolutely play a role in that process. So there we are. That's that in a nutshell. Let's get your questions answered because that's why everyone is here. Real quick, I just saw Christopher. Do we need to send our mid-year senior grades? No. Once you're admitted, we will need to see your final transcript. You'll need to send that to us just to make sure that senioritis didn't kick in, because we admit you based on kind of an agreement that you'll consider or continue with your academic trends. So we will need to see your final transcripts once you're done with school, but we do not need to see your mid-year grades. When do we find out if we are accepted based on the November 1st deadline? January 15th. I feel like I say this date about 1 million times every time we're live, and that's okay. I'll say it 1.5 million if I have to. January 15th is the day that all admissions decisions will be released if you applied before November 1st. So mark the calendar. Usually they're sent out in the evening, so please don't check your email in the middle of English class, but they will be sent out on January 15th, and we will be here to hopefully celebrate with you. We can't wait to send those out. Our staff is working quite hard on reading all of those admissions applications, so we're pretty excited for that day to roll around and to get to celebrate with our new class of Boilermakers. Let's see. I'm going to go over to our survey questions really quickly and make sure that we get all of those answered for our fine folks who emailed us before. So appreciated. Let's see. Elizabeth wanted to know if I applied before November 1st, but did not mark the application as early action, will I still receive a notification on January 15th? Yes. So we have an early action regular decision. However, when you're filling out the Common App, you can select whether you want early action regular decision prior to November 1st. If you selected, for whatever reason, regular decision and you meant to do early action or whatever, we basically consider everyone who applied before November 1st to be in that early action pool. So don't worry if you don't remember what you selected. It's not a big deal. You'll still have a decision on January 15th. Will Purdue put you in general studies if you don't get into the engineering program? No. So let's talk about our second choice majors. This is new for us this year, so we're really excited. We rolled it out basically because we have a lot of really qualified applicants. We get a lot of rock stars every year who apply to very competitive programs. And nothing breaks our heart more than having these really qualified students apply to a program where they might not be competitive and saying, sorry, you can't come to Purdue. So we rolled out these second choice majors, and we allow our students to apply into their top choice and then apply into a second choice major. So when we're reviewing your application, if you aren't competitive for your top choice major, we will automatically consider you for your second choice. So a lot of times this will happen for programs like engineering, computer science, nursing. We'll consider you for that second choice major, and then your decision will be rolled out just along everyone else's on January 15th. So don't worry too much. We have that second choice major for our students who might not be competitive for their first choice, but then could move right into that second choice, which is really exciting. So that's the scoop on second choice majors. And, we're not going to automatically place you in, we don't really have general studies. You can't just come to Purdue and hang out until you decide a major. So you'll need to declare something for those students who don't get their top choice. That major would then be their second choice. Can I change the major I applied to? Ted and lots of other folks, here's the scoop. We do not allow our students to change their major that they applied into while your application's in committee review. So it just makes things really funky and weird, and we don't want to mess up that process or throw unnecessary sticks in the spoke. So we don't allow you to change your major from the time you applied until January 15th. Then once January 15th comes around, we're happy to consider you for another major. We can't guarantee that we will be able to admit you to that, just depending on space and timing and things like that. However, if you want to be reconsidered for another major, your acceptance into your original program still stands. So if you are halfway through your senior year, you decide that you don't want to be an engineer, you want to be a theater major, you can ask for reconsideration once your engineering decision's been released, and then we can admit you into that second program. So that's the scoop on how to change your major while you're still in high school. That process looks a little bit different once you're at Purdue. I can talk about that later if you guys want. But that's what it looks like when you're still in high school. You change your mind from the time you applied until you get that admissions decision. How does dual enrollment transfer credits work? So lots of students, we hope, are taking dual credit classes or AP courses, and the process to transfer those over is pretty simple. You'll just need to, if it's dual credit, you'll need to contact the college that's awarding that credit and ask them to send the credit to Purdue or send your transcripts to Purdue so that we can award you credit. And if it's AP, you'll just need to send those AP score reports to us. So if you're planning on taking an AP test sometime this spring, you can put Purdue down as one of the schools you want to send it to, or you can wait. There's no deadline. There's no perfect timing for that. So whenever it's easy and convenient for you, you can send that over. Usually it's easiest if you send it before you come to campus to talk to your advisor during STAR, only because, you want to have the credit before you register for your classes so you can get the credit for the classes you need. Just in terms of timing, early summer is an ideal time for you to send that AP credit. If you don't get your first choice, but you get your second choice, will you get waitlisted for the first choice? Great question. The answer is no. You will be admitted to your if you are not admitted to your first choice, you're admitted to your second choice. That's where you live. You can change your major once you get to Purdue and attempt to change your major into that first choice option, but you won't be waitlisted. It's not, it's not a waitlist option. That's a great question, but your major will be your second choice major when you start Purdue. And then if you want to try to change your major once you get on campus, that's possible. Let's see. Do we have accelerated programs in the Polytechnic Institute? Not that I know of. We do have 3-year majors in the College of Liberal Arts. There are 21, I think, majors where you can graduate in 3 years or not 3 years or less, 3 years. So there are some accelerated programs in the Liberal Arts School, but not in the Polytechnic Institute. Great question. Please read. I got you. I'm not doing so well in one of my classes in my senior year. Will this affect my admissions decision? It could. We reserve the right to rescind offers of admission if you do really poorly your senior year. And I know that sounds really scary, and I know that sounds really scary, but pretty serious. But we admit students based on the assumption that they're going to continue to perform like they've performed for the last 3 years on their transcript. So it is a possibility. You can always give us a call and we can kind of walk you through what that process might look like, or just give you a little bit more personal counseling than what YouTube Live might provide. So send us an email or give us a call. We'd be more than happy to talk about that. But yes, if you do really poorly your senior year, we could rescind your offer of admission. Let's go talk about more exciting and happy things. Someone asked how they applied for a specific scholarship. You're automatically considered for our merit scholarships as long as you applied before November 1st. So hopefully you met that deadline and you'll automatically be considered. Scholarship decisions do not, this is important, I wish I could put like stars around it. Scholarship decisions do not come out with admissions decisions. So don't call us on January 16th, and you can call us actually, but don't ask where your scholarship decision is because it will not be with your admissions letter. Don't be super disappointed that you got into Purdue but you didn't get a scholarship on January 16th or 15th because those decisions aren't out yet. So they will come out usually late January, early February. It varies from year to year. We don't have a specific day for scholarship release like we do for admissions decisions, but they do not come out together. I just think that's really important. A lot of times folks will think that because they got admitted but didn't have a scholarship information in their letter that they didn't get one, and that's not necessarily the case. So celebrate admission, and then scholarships will come a little bit later. Should you report AP scores after admission? Yes. If you decide to come to Purdue, if you're, I'm trying to think of the timing of that. I don't think there would be any reason for you to report it once you've been accepted, but not before you've made your decision. So you have until May 1st to let us know whether or not you're coming to Purdue. That's standard across the board for all colleges. Let us know what you got on your AP exam so that we can give you credit, but it's not required that you report those scores before you make your admissions decision. We simply want the scores to give you credit. Usually 3s, 4s, and 5s will get you credit. Does Purdue allow a break year or a gap year? We do have a gap year application that you can fill out. We'll review it. It's on our website. That's kind of the scoop. Yes, it's a possibility, but that information is all on our website. Let's see. How many different places can you study abroad in? I'm trying to think. I was a roommate with one girl who I want to say studied abroad 4 times. She brought in a ton of AP and dual credit, and she studied abroad like all the time. So as many times as you can fit into your schedule and still graduate. We want you to graduate in 4 years. That's our goal. But you can study abroad as many times as you can make work for you and your plan of study. Do you read applications? Oh no, where'd you go? In the order of submission, or are they read in random order? Good question. I think, you know what? I think they're done in order of submission alphabetically by day. That doesn't really mean much, to be honest. Like whether or not we read your application the first day we start reading or the very last day before they're due, that doesn't really have an impact because we're early action. We're not rolling. So everyone who applies before November 1st has an equal chance, if you will, for admission. I think they're by day and then alphabetically by day, but that doesn't really play a whole factor or much of a factor or any factor at all in your chance at admission. I hate to use the word chance. Are applications read with other applications from the same school? Yes, this is so important. We read applications based on the program that you apply to, based on your academic college. So, for example, I review for the College of Liberal Arts. I rarely look at engineering applications because that's not the program that I'm familiar with, that I'm kind of the subject matter expert in within our office. So you're competing. I hate to use those kinds of terms, but I know that that's kind of what you guys want to know. We're reviewing the applicant pool underneath a specific academic college. So our folks who are applying into nursing never get compared to our students who are applying into whatever other program. We're looking at students who apply into a specific major, period, end of story. Let's see. When should I send out my FAFSA for scholarships and financial aid? Should I wait for an admissions decision before sending FAFSA? Nope. March 1st is the FAFSA deadline. However, send that over. There's no reason to not send it right now. If you get admitted, we package your financial aid offer. If you don't, we discard your FAFSA and, everyone goes on their merry way. So send that FAFSA information over. That's like a really easy, it's not easy. I know it's kind of a pain, but it's one of those things that you should just check off your to-do list, get it done before the holidays kick in, before, everything gets crazy, before you're a second semester senior. Just do that thing and get it done. Let's see. I also have some survey questions, so give me a few, my friends. What if I did not select a second choice major? Well, hopefully you get admitted to your first choice major, and then if not, if you weren't admitted to your first choice major, we won't be able to admit you to the university in any program if you didn't select a second choice major. However, and this is really important, we are happy to reconsider admissions decisions. So if you didn't get admitted to your first choice, if you didn't put down a second choice and you want to ask for reconsideration for a different major, we're happy to do that. Give us a call before you do. We're able to provide some counseling and advice when when you're applying for that when you're asking for reconsideration, we're happy to walk you through that process, but a lot of times it's easier and will work to your advantage if you can chat with an admissions counselor before, so we can give you some input about what programs might be a good fit. So that's the scoop on if you didn't select a second choice major. Someone asked, I'm currently enlisted in the military. Thank you for your service. What would happen in the instance I'm deployed in the middle of a school year or even a semester? We have a wonderful Veteran Success Center. To be honest, I don't know the exact answer to this question. However, I know for a fact that our Veteran Success Center does, and I know that they work with our students in the case of deployment or something like that. Their military service kind of kicking in while they're also on campus. So you can give them an email. I know their email, for whatever reason, dogtags@purdue.edu sticks in my head every time. You can shoot them an email or go to their website. I know that they have that information up there. I'm sure that there's some kind of leave policy. I just don't know exactly what it is, but I know that they provide a lot of really cool resources and great service to our students in the service. I would wish to know more regarding the honors admissions process and how this ties to the regular admissions process. So I'd be happy to answer that for you. We, as long as you apply before November 1st and fill out the Honors College essay and extra questions, we're happy to consider you for the Honors College. Honors College admissions is entirely separate from your admissions decision to the university. So we review your application, the admissions committee meets, they go through it, we go through all of those steps that I mentioned at the first part of this video. And then if you're admitted, we forward your application to both the Honors College and the scholarship review committees. So those processes are entirely separate. They're done by entirely different folks. It's just a different process from admission. So you might be admitted to Purdue, but unfortunately we can't admit you to the Honors College. Your admission still stands to the university. So it's not like if you chose to apply to the Honors College and you're not admitted to the Honors College, sorry, you're not admitted to Purdue at all. Not the case in any way, shape, or form. Totally separate processes. Those decisions, gosh, I don't remember when they roll out. They, again, do not roll out with admissions decisions. So scholarship and Honors College decisions come after January 15th. And I will probably pound that into your head come January when we do our live. But those are three separate processes, and the decisions will roll out differently. Let's see. We had a ton of survey questions. These are awesome. How does Purdue treat a late letter of recommendation? One of my teachers having some issues submitting one, so it's delayed. That's okay. So the timing of the process is, I don't know like an appropriate word to use. It's kind of like luck right now. So if you apply before November 1st, if you submit all of your applications before November 1st, or all of the pieces of your application, we guarantee that we'll review it. However, if letters of recommendation, those are really the only things, or additional test scores, I guess, could arrive later on, we will try to review those. As long as we haven't reviewed your application already, we're happy to include those. If we've already reviewed your application and they come in later, we can't promise that we'll go back to include them or to review your application again. But it doesn't set you back. It doesn't hurt you in any way, shape, or form if those letters come in late. We just can't promise that we'll review it if we've already reviewed your application. Let's see. Do you consider the difficulty of the class when looking at the grade? Yes. So we absolutely take in the rigor of your curriculum. We actually take in both the rigor of your curriculum and the rigor of your high school. We get a school profile. So we do not hold it against students who, I use myself as a really good example. I graduated with 71 kids in my high school class. I don't think we offered any AP courses, maybe one dual credit, but Purdue didn't hold that against me because my high school didn't offer it. So I didn't have that on my application, but that didn't make a difference because my school didn't offer it. So we don't hold those things against you. But we do take into consideration whether your class is weighted, whether it's a dual credit course, whether it's AP, whether you're in the IB program. We consider the rigor of those when we're looking at the grades that you're getting. We still really want to see A's and B's. That doesn't mean that you can get a D in an AP class and be successful. But we do consider the rigor when we're looking at the classes that you're taking and looking at your transcript. If I did poorly in my freshman year and managed, oh no, the chat went away. Oh no, chat's moving too fast. But I think in a nutshell, it was if you did poorly your freshman year and then your grades got better, what do we think? We would much rather see your grades get better than worse. So we get that high school is a transition and that, you're learning at a quicker pace, you're taking more classes, you're involved in things, and that takes time to transition into. So we're forgiving for a rough freshman year, but then we want to see your grades get better. So junior year grades matter the most, guys. We really hone in closely on those. That shows us the most recent work that you've done and shows us what you're able to accomplish. So we're really going to hone in on junior year grades. We hope your grades are strong all 4 years, but definitely getting better rather than getting worse. How do we send senior year grades? We will send you directions on how to do that. I believe you just email the transcript to us. Once you graduate, once your transcript's final, your school will send that over electronically to us and we'll be good to go. But we just want to verify the classes that you got your senior year, or the grades that you got your senior year. Do you look into senior year first semester grades? We don't consider those in admissions decisions because you're not done with your first semester and we're reading applications right now. So we don't need 7th semester grades unless we ask for them. And that's usually not very often. Yeah, that's the scoop on 7th semester grades. We don't need them. We will see your grades in May. Since I didn't report any 11th grade classes, will that be a problem? I'm graduating early. Oh, if you're graduating early and you told us that shouldn't be a problem, you can always email us or double check with us, call us or get in touch somehow. But if you're graduating early and you didn't report any 11th year grades, I think we would understand that you're graduating early and that's why you don't have junior year grades. So don't worry. Like I said in the beginning, if we have any questions about your application, if anything looks funky or weird, someone from our staff will reach out to you because we definitely want to make sure that we have all of the pieces of your application before we make an admissions decision. How is Purdue's football game spirit? Awesome. I have not been able to get to a game this year, which is really sad. When I was a student, we were not so hot and football games were still very, very, very fun. So I cannot even imagine the atmosphere this year. We're so excited to have Coach Brum and have the team just be killing it right now. Minus last weekend, but that's fine. But we're really excited about the state of Purdue football. So Saturdays in West Lafayette are really special. If you can get down for a game, you got a few more. And then football season's over, which means winter is here. Can freshmen ride the train mascot? Yes, heck yes, they can. So if you are unfamiliar with Purdue, the official mascot is the Boilermaker Special. It is a train that's on a truck chassis. The Reamer Club is the club that's responsible for taking it to away football games. They travel with it all over, and they give free rides in the Boilermaker Special on Fridays. I'm sure they do it during Boiler Gold Rush, our orientation program at some point. Put it on your bucket list at Purdue, #1 thing to do. It is so much fun to ride in the train. 10 out of 10 would recommend. How does being a legacy factor into the admissions process? Great question. So if you have any Purdue affiliations or ties in your family, if your parents went here, if your sister went here, if your grandma went here, there should have been based on the application for you to include that information. Here's what I like to tell students. When we're looking at an application, there are a lot of factors that get weighed into that admissions decision. There are times where a student might be on the bubble where, those other factors, the skills, the things outside of grades and test scores really start to play. in, letters of recommendation, extracurricular activities, whether or not you've grown up a Purdue fan, all of those other things beyond kind of the hard numbers of your application come into play when we're making those decisions. If you failed a class your senior year or your junior year, whether or not your grandma went to Purdue is not going to make any difference in your admissions decision. However, we do like to admit students who have, Purdue affiliations in their family. It just doesn't play a huge factor in the decision. We like to see it. We love to do it when we can, but we aren't going to sacrifice a student's success at Purdue just because you have Purdue ties to your family. I hope that makes sense. We just want to make sure that we're admitting students who have what it takes to succeed. Someone, I think, just commented about the chat. Went really fast, but someone asked about an internship that they did, I'm assuming in high school, and whether or not that would play into the decision. Of course. So extracurriculars don't just mean clubs or sports. They also mean research or internships or part-time jobs, helping out at home. If you, your parents work and you take care of your siblings after school, those are things we want to know. And those are things that can be really helpful when we're making our decisions. So any type of things outside of the classroom, not just clubs and sports, can play a factor in those admissions decisions. Let me go back to our survey questions. Does Purdue look for all-around students with activities or extracurriculars that include several different topics of interest, or students with several activities conveying an interest in their specific major? Whew, that is a question. It honestly doesn't. There are programs where we would prefer to see you have experience, things like nursing. We would really, really, really like our nursing applicants to have some kind of experience in a healthcare environment, because we don't want our nursing students to pass out when they see blood. We want you to know what you're getting into. Engineering, we want you to be involved in robotics or some kind of team-based thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be robotics. However, we get that as a freshman in high school, you probably weren't choosing your clubs based on your college major. And by golly, we don't really want you to. We want you to be involved in things you care about and you love to spend your time at. And if that's related to what you want to study, typically that's the case. But if it's not, if you're applying into linguistics and you're in marching band and you spend all your time doing music-related things, even though you're applying into linguistics, that's totally cool. We want you to be involved in things that you care about. So don't stress too much about having the right clubs or activities. We just want you to have leadership skills within those clubs and activities. There was a part 2. What does Purdue look for in application essays? Essays are my favorite thing to talk about. We could just have a whole live all about them. We look for authenticity. And I think that that's the best way to sum it up in a nutshell. We want to see who you are, and we want your essay to tell us a little bit more about you that we didn't know already, or that we couldn't glean from the rest of your application. So I love reading essays. I think that it's so much fun to get to know our applicants. They share some really cool stories with us, and it's honestly one of my favorite parts of my job. So happy to chat more about essays, but we just want you to be authentic. We want you to tell us what you care about. Don't write what you think we want to read. We just really, really, really want to get to know you a little bit deeper, a little bit better, and get to know your personality. More survey questions. If your first choice major is, say, animal science in the College of Agriculture, but you have also applied to the Honors College, does that eliminate you from being able to apply for any supplemental scholarships through a particular college? I don't know if I understand your question. However, it reminded me of another important thing that we should talk about, and it might be along the same lines of what Holly's question is. If you aren't admitted to your first choice major, it does not take you out of the running for merit scholarships or for honors college consideration for your second choice program. So if you're not admitted to your top choice, you're admitted to your second choice, you will still be considered for merit scholarships and for the Honors College. That's a little bit different than what we've done in the past. So we're really happy that those students can be considered for the Honors College, merit scholarships, things like that. You can, so you'll be considered for both, which I think is what Holly was asking, but I don't know if she's on here to clarify or to make sure that I answered it. So Holly, hope I got your question answered. Can you do marching band and be an engineering major and be involved with internships and research? I don't want to quit band. Of course. I cannot remember the number, but a very high number of our marching band are STEM majors. Quite a few of them are engineers. I wish I could remember that top of my head. I'll remember it at like 3 o'clock this morning. But yeah, it's absolutely possible to do engineering or computer science or any rigorous major at Purdue and play in the marching band. We actually don't have a music major. A lot of people are really surprised by that. You cannot study music at Purdue. But we have this phenomenal marching band. We have wonderful performing arts groups, and they're simply made up of students who really want to continue their passion for music and the arts. So you can absolutely balance both. It's going to take a lot of work, but being involved in any capacity, whether that's in student government or sports or band or whatever, that takes a lot of time management, no matter the thing that you're involved in. So it's absolutely doable. Heck yes. Do the band. I love our band. I would talk about them all night long, along with essays. How long does it take to hear back after application is submitted? January 15th. So that might be a really long time for our friends who applied on August 1st and got their application done and submitted early on. But January 15th is the day that we will release admissions decisions. Again, usually in the evening, sometime after business hours are closed, after you're out of school. So you don't have to worry about that. More survey questions. Give me a second, my friends. Why doesn't everyone's scholarship application look the same with the same number of questions? Great question. We have a supplemental scholarship application that is available. Those are scholarships that are awarded based on academic, college, or major. So if you applied into education and your best friend who sits next to you in calculus applied into the Polytechnic Institute, you would have 2 separate supplemental scholarship applications. Not every not every academic college has a supplemental scholarship application. So you might not even have access to it, which is all right. It just means they're reviewed and awarded a little bit differently. But that's why the application will look different based on the major that you're admitted to or applying into. Those are the questions that the academic college wants to know that they use to award merit scholarships. Sorry, they lost my train of thought there. Hi, can we apply for Honors College going into our sophomore year? Esther, you sure can. So if you're not admitted into the Honors College during your freshman year, you can apply going into your sophomore year. The details on how to do that are on the Honors College website. I cannot remember the exact requirements right now, but there is an application process, absolutely. If you just want to wait, if you want to come to Purdue, get your feet wet, make sure you've got everything under control, and then apply into the Honors College. That's a possibility as well. You're not going to kind of be out of luck if you forgot to apply, if you decided not to apply. Totally okay. Let's see, Kim. It's appreciated that scores can be self-reported until admission saves money. That's our goal. That's what we wanted to do. So yeah, we're glad that you appreciate self-reporting your test scores. How are companies engaging with Purdue students? We have 20 or 30, close to 30, I think, career fairs every year. We're home to the nation's largest student-run career fair called Industrial Roundtable. Last year, we had about 2,000 unique companies on campus recruiting students for jobs and internships. So they are coming to our students. They are recruiting our students for jobs and internships. Something I'm really proud of, to see the number of companies and kind of the caliber of companies and organizations that recruit our students for jobs and internships. That's the point of you coming here. We want you to have a great job when you leave. So it's always exciting to see pretty cool companies on campus recruiting our students, and then seeing our students go off and do really cool things. Let's see. You guys are sending them in quicker than I can read. Hang on. Hi, how are roommates assigned? They can be done in a couple different levels. So once you accept your offer of admission, you'll fill out due on May 5th. So you've got a few days. Don't feel rushed. Housing is awarded on not a first come, first serve basis, whatever the opposite of random, I suppose, is the opposite of first come, first serve. And you don't need to fret about getting your housing contract into us. We'll talk way more about that come spring once decisions are released. But roommates are assigned either by your housing contract. There are, there's like a survey for you to fill out, like a profile questionnaire thing for you to put down the things that you're interested in, your sleeping habits, so that we can try to match you with someone that's going to be compatible. You can also meet someone on our admitted student Facebook page. We have Facebook groups both for parents and students once you're admitted. That's where I met my freshman roommate, Ellie. I highly doubt she's watching this, but if she is, hello from the Midwest where it's cold. She's from sunny Texas, where it's also cold, but I digress. So Facebook is another way. You can also say that you want to live with someone that you know. So if you're going to school with someone who's coming to Purdue, you can put them down and you can both be roommates. So that's the scoop on roommates. Again, it's kind of early in the year to talk about housing and placements and all of those things. We will go through the nuts and bolts of that come February, March, April. And then in May, hopefully you'll be a Boilermaker. How much would an internship or co-op delay the 5-year master's program? I don't know a whole lot about those 5-year programs in the College of Engineering. A co-op program, which is in a very brief format, an extended internship with the same company. Co-ops delay their time to graduation by 1 year. You choose to graduate in 5 years, so you can participate in that co-op experience. I don't know how that can be kind of worked in with 5-year, engineering master's programs. So I would contact the College of Engineering for more information. I'm sure that they would be happy to provide that for you. I just don't know the exact answer. Let's see. I spent the summer in Georgia doing an internship at biomed company. Wasn't able to tour Purdue, or is that bad? No. Here is the scoop. We do not consider demonstrated interest. Some colleges I know will take into consideration how many events you came to, whether you toured campus. I don't all know what goes into demonstrated interest because we've never considered it at Purdue, but we do not consider, whether or not you've been on campus before. So don't fret about scheduling your tour. Obviously, please come visit us. We would love to see you, but we don't consider whether or not you've been on campus as part of that admissions decision. Camille wants to know how cold it gets. Cold, real cold, very cold. I don't know. It depends. Winters are sometimes very cold, sometimes pretty pleasant. Yeah, bring a coat and a hat and some gloves and you'll be set. If we haven't sent in optional recommendations yet, would it be helpful to submit a good letter around this time? I talked about this a little bit earlier. We can't promise that we will review it if you submit it after November 1st, but you can send it. And if we haven't reviewed your application yet, we would be more than happy to include that letter of recommendation. We won't hold it against you. It's not a big deal that it came in late. We just won't go back and re-review your application if you had that come in later. So send it over. There's really no harm in sending it right now. If nothing else, we'll have it for scholarship review and honors college review. But we can't promise that we'll use it for admissions selection. Are freshmen required to live on campus? Nope. You are not required. However, 96 or 97% of our first year students decide to live in the residence halls. I would highly recommend it. I lived on campus for 2 years and off for 2, and I very much wish that I would have stayed on campus all 4 years because I realized once I moved out, I moved off campus that I will have the rest of my life to pay rent and clean my bathroom and, shop for groceries. Life is just really easy in the residence halls. They make it very simple for our students. So take advantage of that if you can, but we don't require you to live in the residence halls your freshman year. Let's see. Okay, hang on. While chat questions are coming in, decision release questions were asked a lot on the survey. January 15th. You guys are going to get tired of hearing me saying that, but January 15th is the day that we will release those admissions decisions. My student has applied early action and intended to pursue merit-based scholarships. Do I need to fill out the FAFSA for merit scholarships? No, but please fill out the FAFSA, even if you don't think you're going to get any federal aid, even if you don't think you're going to qualify for anything at all. I promise it's worth your time. You never know what's going to happen. And I'm going to sound like a real Debbie Downer when I talk about this, but you never know when life circumstances could change, when something could happen that could qualify your student for for any need-based aid. So by having the FAFSA on file, that's going to just be there just in case. And you want to make sure that you're preparing for any of those situations that might arise that a FAFSA could come into play. So please, please, please submit it. It's not required, but I promise it's worth the extra effort just so we have it on file just in case. Let's see, there were a number of anticipated fall of 2018 extracurriculars outlined on my son's Purdue application. What is the best way for students to share updates with the admissions committee to their already filed applications? You can email us. That's usually the best way to get in touch if you want to make any updates. If you want to make really, I don't want to say specific updates, but if you need to change your name on your application or your address or any kind of changes to that hard data, you can do that on your application profile or on your Purdue application portal. If you want to just attach a note, you can send that to us, admissions@purdue.edu, and we can attach it to your file and make sure that, if you won some really cool award or did some cool thing this fall between the time that you submitted your application and right now, we're happy to add those things to it. Check your application portal first because there are some changes that you can make specifically there, but you can also just email us and we can take care of it for you. What if you get admitted to your second choice major and you don't want that major and would like to apply to a different major? How do you proceed with that? So I adjust myself in my chair. We hope that your second choice major is also a major that you want to study. The point of the second choice major is that we want you to come to Purdue if there's another program here that you're cool with studying. There are usually, when I talk to students, there are two camps, two very specific camps. There are the students who really, 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 really want to study computer science or nursing or engineering. And whether they do that at Purdue or 1,000 other institutions, that's okay with them. They don't really care about what name is on their degree as much as the program that they want to study. That's cool. That's an okay camp to be in. The other camp are the students who really, really, really want to come to Purdue. You bleed black and gold. You're obsessed with our football team. You've tailgated at football games since, you could walk. Those students are okay with coming to Purdue, and you might want to study engineering, but you might also be open to studying cybersecurity or, mechanical engineering technology or English. You're more flexible in what you want to study versus where you want to study it. So those are the two camps of students. The second choice major option is available to everyone, but it was really designed for those students who are totally cool with studying something else and would be happy to be reconsidered for another program if they weren't admissible to their top choice. So hopefully you like your second choice major. That's our goal, is that you're happy with that, that's something you're comfortable studying. You could change your major once you get to campus. That is a possibility. We can't ever promise that you can change your major, especially into more competitive programs. Usually the requirements to change your major are very black and white. So you can find them at any point by Googling Purdue CODO, C-O-D-O, requirements, and then the major that you're interested in. They spell them all out. They're all on our website somewhere. So you can kind of have a game plan in your mind as to what you'll need to do to change your major out of that second choice, but fingers crossed, you like your second choice major and are happy studying that. And then if you change your major, so be it. Which leads me to another question. What circumstances would cause you to be rejected from your first choice major, but accepted to your second, as opposed to being rejected from Purdue? That is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful question. We get lots of applicants to programs that don't have a ton of space. Things like computer science, engineering, nursing, professional flight, because we only have 70 airplanes on campus, so we can't admit a class of 700. We have programs that, like I said, just don't have a ton of space, and we have very, very, very bright students who are applying into them. It bums us out to be able, or to not be able to admit students who are rock stars to the university in some capacity, because you have what it takes to succeed at Purdue somewhere. You just might not be competitive for one of those incredibly competitive applicant pools. That's where that second choice major comes into play, where the admissions committee looks at your application and says, I don't know if they'll be successful in their top choice, but they have what it takes to be successful at major. Can they be successful in their second choice major? The answer is yes, you're good to go. That's the kind of thing that we're looking at when we review for second choice majors. That's the scoop. That's kind of how that process works. So rather than just saying, sorry, we can't admit you to the university, we're saying you have what it takes to succeed at Purdue somewhere, and it just might not be in that first choice major. We have a few more survey questions. I thought I've been skipping around, and so now I'm having trouble finding them. Oh, one asked about double majoring. I think I've seen that in the chat questions. We admissions don't really have much to do with double majors. You're applying into one major and one major only. When you come to campus to schedule your classes and you meet your academic advisor, that is where you'll start to talk about double majors and how does that look in your plan of study, and is that possible? It varies. For every student, it looks different. If you're double majoring within the same academic college, it's very likely that that's a possibility. If you're double majoring outside of your academic college, it could get a little bit tricky. But if you've got AP credit or dual credit or yeah, all of those types of things, it's more possible and more likely, and it just varies. So make sure that you talk to your academic advisor. If you're admitted, start talking with them early once you come to campus to make sure that you don't spring on them your junior year that you want to double major. It gets a little tricky after that. All right, we have time for a few more questions. How do you determine if an applicant is academically prepared for the major they've applied to? That's a heavy question. That's just part of our holistic review process. We want to make sure that our students have what it takes to be successful. Part of that is your grades. Are you doing well in your courses? Are you taking rigorous classes if your school offers them? Are you involved in AP, dual credit, IB, things of that nature? We also look at how you're involved outside of the classroom. Are you balancing your grades? Are you getting A's and B's and also holding leadership roles and being involved in things you care about? Because we want you to not only do well at Purdue, we want you to be on campus and contribute to our campus in some factor and be involved. And we want to make sure you're doing that at the high school level, because that's really the best predictor for success at the college level. So those are the types of things that we look at when we are reviewing applications. How can we gain answers that were not answered in this video chat. I'm very sorry. The chat moved very quickly. I tried my best. But no, we are happy to answer your questions. If you would like to call us, you can do that. If you want to email us, you can do that. If you want to send us a DM on Twitter or on Instagram or on Facebook, you can do that. We are more than accessible basically wherever you can find us, which reminds me, if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, following us on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, those are really great ways to keep in touch, to be reminded of dates and deadlines. And, we'll let you know that January 15th is coming up, and it's just a good place for you to get some information from us. So make sure you follow us on those channels. But again, send us an email, give us a call, however you want to get in touch with us. We are more than happy to answer questions. That's why we get paid as admissions counselors. That's our job. And we are so happy when we get to chat with families. So give us a call, shoot us an email if you have more questions. We are not doing a YouTube Live in December because December is really busy for a lot of folks, and our committees are meeting a lot, reading applications. So we're going to take December off. Everyone have a super holiday season. Enjoy time with your families. And then what is the Instagram that we can DM to? Purdue Admission, or maybe Purdue Admissions. I think it's singular, Purdue Admission. Yeah, that's our Instagram handle and also our Twitter. Then yeah, that's the scoop. I want to make sure I got it all. No live in December. We'll be back in January. Decisions come out on, everybody say it in the chats, January 15th. We will be in touch before then. And if you have any questions in the meantime, give us a shout. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. Have a good evening. Have a happy holiday season, and boiler up.